the cloud. I make this right this time.
Pittsburgh.
And we're live.
So welcome everyone. My name is Siobhan Byrne. I'm the owner of Adams & Butler. So I'm here with Rachel and Gio from the Dublin office. And then Pádraig looks after all our clients in the west of Ireland. So he is a plethora of experiences you can do there, not just the ones you see today, but other things like visiting abalone farms, going to private homes, you know, hearing the in pipes and everything. Just fantastic, all the stuff that he can arrange for you. And in fact, he arranged my New Year's Eve party this time last year with a client, which was amazing. There was a pop-up party on Irish television, which was really good fun. So we're going to start off with a bit of singing and dancing. So Gio, we have the dancing on the beach. Do you have that ready before we join Pádraig?
Oh, I thought we were going to go with Liam Neeson first.
Oh, sorry, Liam Neeson. I can't wait to forget Liam Neeson.
There you go.
For hundreds of years, the island of Ireland has celebrated St. Patrick's Day. And while this year things will be a little quieter on our streets, in our castles, along our coastlines, there is always one place where the celebrations will never cease. In here. It's a testament to the renowned Irish spirit, a spirit that is spread to every corner of the globe. So, however you mark the occasion, always remember that no matter where you are in the world, as long as you have a piece of Ireland in your heart, you are celebrating with us. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
That's brilliant, Gio. So should we do the dancing now on the beach?
Yeah, give me a second to get that on.
And then we will go over to Pádraig, and he is now in Connemara in the west of Ireland. Going over now to Pádraig in the west of Ireland in Connemara beside Galway City.
Hello everyone, and Céad Míle Fáilte go Galia. You're very welcome to Galway. Some of you might know me from a couple of webinars that I've done in the past, but I've moved to the big city now for the big day, St. Patrick's Day. So we're here in the heart of Galway. And where better to be on a day like today when the bars are still shut, unfortunately, but in a distillery. So we're right here in Mickle Distillery, and there's the man himself you're going to meet later on, Pádraig O'Grady. So just to tell you a little bit about the story here, if you look behind, this distillery, Pádraig is the 6th generation. So his great-great-great-grandfather is Mickle above here, and this is his own story. But we're going to tell you more about that later on. So anyway, Pádraig, as I said, and I'm Pádraig, so we have two Pádraigs. And just so as you know, Pádraig is the Irish or the Gaelic for Patrick. So some people here in the west of Ireland, we pronounce it Pádraig. The last letter is a C. As for, you might know the famous Irish golfer, Padraig Harrington. He would spell it with a G. So there's like about 10 different spellings of the name Pádraig, but essentially it's the Irish or the Gaelic for Patrick. So to start this party today, happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone. I'm going to introduce you to two of Ireland's best young traditional musicians. So we have Liam O'Brien, who won the 2017 Young Musician of the Year. So that's for the whole country of Ireland. And actually it's open internationally as well. So it brings in the whole world as such. So he got that award in 2017. And here immediately to my right is Conor Connolly, who Conor won the same award in 2019. So these guys are good, and they have performed for many of Adams and Butler's clients over the last 2 years. So hopefully they'll be performing again very much in the future. So guys, over to you, and you're going to play a few tunes, Conor.
That's it. Happy St. Patrick's Day, guys. We're just going to play a few tunes for you here now, and 3 popular dance tunes that we play in Ireland called reels. So these are 3. The first one is called the Concertina Reel. The second one is called Come West Along the Road, since we're in the west of Ireland. And the final one then is a popular dance tune in Connemara. I forget the name of it, to be perfectly honest. But we're going to play them anyway. But so hope you enjoy it, okay?
So I hope you enjoyed that, folks, and we're going to be back here shortly in Galway again when Pádraig is going to tell us the story of the Poitín and do a little tasting and tell you more about that. So we'll see you in a while.
Just before we go, can you tell us about the instruments?
Oh, sure, yeah.
So this instrument that I play is called a button accordion, and it's the most popular of the accordions in Ireland. So you might be more familiar with what's called a piano accordion that kind of looks like a piano on this side and has like hips buttons this side. This is the most popular kind of version in Ireland, called a button accordion. This particular instrument was made in Frankfurt in Germany back in 1939, and it was made by a company called Hohner, and who actually had a factory in Ireland here for a while. And so this is I like this particular box because it complements well with Liam's instrument that he's going to tell you about.
So yeah, this is a concertina, the same type of family as an accordion. It has the bellows and buttons and reeds, and it's the same type of concept. You press a button and it makes a noise. The first concertina dates back to about the 1830s, and it's mostly this one came from London in England. And this particular one, the good thing about Wheatstone, the make of Wheatstone, is you can find actually the day it was finished. So this one was finished on the 3rd of July 1919. So it will be turning 102 this year. And it's like any instrument or good drink. The older it gets, the sweeter it is or the nicer it is. So yeah, this one is very old and tattered, as you would be after being 100+ years old. There's more tape in it than anything. But yeah, the reeds in it are very, very sweet. And as Conor said, the older instruments go nicer together. So yeah.
So that's it, guys. We'll have a few more tunes from those two instruments, and Conor is going to sing us a song later on. So we'll see you back in Galway shortly.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So Gio, now we're going to go and find out more about the drink that a lot of people drink on St. Paddy's Day. It's whiskey. So we're going to join John, and he's going to give us a masterclass on whiskey.
Hello everybody, thanks Siobhan. So John is my name, and I have the great pleasure of delivering a little bite-sized whiskey tasting for you here this afternoon. So I do fully escorted whiskey trails and private whiskey tastings with my great friends at Adams and Butler's all over Ireland. So we're online for this, but it's such a great time to be exploring Irish whiskey. We have a little bit of a distillery boom on our hands right now in Ireland. There's distilleries opening up left, right and centre. It hasn't always been this good. I'll go back to the start. I'll give you the short version, don't worry. It was the Irish who invented whiskey. Now, hopefully there's nobody with ties to Scotland tuning in, because I always have to be very careful when I make a statement like that. The Irish and the Scots have been debating for a long time as to who invented whiskey. Really, we don't know. We're going so far back in time, it's impossible to tell. But the legend goes that it was Irish monks who brought home the skill of distillation some 1600 years ago. But if we look back at the 16th, 17th, 18th and 19th centuries, Irish whiskey was the world leader, and it dominated the world whiskey scene. And we had about 200 licensed distilleries making whiskey, and we had about 2,000 unlicensed distilleries. But the 200 distilleries in Ireland were doing annual sales of about 12 million cases globally. We hit the 1900s and we hit big problems. We had a perfect storm of international and national events that would have Irish whiskey go from its lovely status as world leader to near complete wipeout over a 60-year period. So the world was at war twice. We had prohibition in the US. We had a trade war with Great Britain in the 1930s that cut off our distribution network throughout the British Empire. We had the rise of the Scottish blend. That was probably the final nail in the coffin. But by the 1960s, there were only 5 brands or distilleries left. So we had 200, now we've only got 5. Jamesons are included in that 5. They formed a group, Irish Distillers Group, and that saved the category. So and the rebirth of Irish whiskey began. Fast forward to 1988, a large French drinks company, Pernod Ricard, arrive on the scene. They're in Ireland, they want to buy a whiskey company, and they buy Irish distillers. That put Irish whiskey on the world scene again. They singled out Jameson to be the poster boy for Irish whiskey, and they tried to get Jameson into every bar, every restaurant, every liquor store all over the world, and they did a really, really good job of that. Jameson became the fastest growing whiskey in the world. Irish whiskey became the fastest growing premium spirit in the world. And as a direct result of that, we have distilleries opening up all over the country. We've 38 operational distilleries right now in Ireland, and there's many more that are work in progress. That's incredible when you look back to 10 years ago, there were only 4 distilleries. So we'll have over 60 distilleries operational in Ireland in the coming years. And what's really great about that is most of these distilleries are open for tours and tastings. Just like Poitín distillery there in Galway, really special experiences where you get a different story at each distillery and you're trying different brands. And there's also actually the story behind this whiskey that I'm going to use as my sample here this afternoon. Lambay whiskey, it's a product of Lambay Island, which is about 20 minutes off the coast of North Dublin by boat. So we charter a boat and take people out privately to the island where the owners of the island, the Baring family, will do a tour, and then you do a premium tasting of Lambay whiskies with the Lambay brand ambassador out on the island. But the guys at Adams and Butler will tell you all about that. So anyway, drinking whiskey, hopefully you have a bit of whiskey in Irish whiskey, of course, as well in your glass. A lot of the time I find when people start, as soon as they pour the whiskey, they want to get it down their neck straight away. But so much time has gone into making this whiskey. You're talking anywhere from 6 to 8 years to put this whiskey together. So the least we can do is give it 20 to 30 seconds to appreciate it before we taste. So first of all, you just want to have a look at the color. The color tells you so much about the whiskey. So this color, it comes from the cask. So all Irish whiskey will spend time sleeping in wooden barrels. It has to spend at least 3 years in wooden barrels before it can be called a whiskey. So it's the oak that gives everything to the whiskey. Its color, its texture, and most importantly, its flavor. So this is a nice golden brown, this Lambay malt. And the next thing we want to do is smell. Always get your nose in there. We often underestimate our sense of smell, but it's so important in detecting flavor. We've got 4 primary tastes, but we've got 32 primary smells. So always get your nose in there before the best part, which is the taste. And before we taste, I'll say sláinte and enjoy. Gets better every time. The one word, if you have a little bit of Irish in your glass there, the one word, and especially if it's your first time ever trying Irish whiskey, the one word I hope you'd use to describe it is smooth. And that's why Irish whiskey is taking the world by storm again. People are loving the approachability of our whiskies. There's no harshness to them. They're just easy to drink, and they sit really, really well in a cocktail as well. So I'm going to finish with one last job, and that is to share a little Irish toast with you. And this one is there are tall ships, there are small ships, there are ships that sail the seas, but the best ships are friendships, and may they always be. Sláinte.
Sláinte, John. Thanks a million for that.
No problem.
So now we're going to do something else that's very Irish, and that is we are going to go down to Blarney Castle, and we're going to meet Paul down there, and he's going to show us how to kiss the Blarney Stone.
Hi everybody, happy St. Patrick's Day and welcome to Blarney Castle and Gardens. We're obviously very well known for this beautiful castle behind me and the Blarney Stone which sits at the very top. But our estate is over 300 acres, so we really are primarily an outdoor attraction. We have 60 acres of manicured gardens, so today I thought I would give you my 3 tips on what parts of our gardens that you should visit. The first really needs no introduction, and that is our poison garden. It houses 70 different types of poisonous plants, and the rule is anything in a cage you can't touch, eat or smell, so be warned. The second really is most people's favourite part, and that is the fern garden. It is a great mix of Jurassic Park versus a kind of a meditation space. So the giant ferns really represent the Jurassic Park vibe, minus the dinosaurs, and the calm and the peace and the beautiful flowing water from our waterfall represent the meditative space. The final garden is the Rock Close, and this is my personal favourite. The Rock Close is an old Druid settlement home to the witch who plays a crucial part in the kissing of the Blarney Stone. This wonderful garden houses the wishing steps, the witch's kitchen, a Druid circle, a fairy glade and much, much more. So that means these 3 gardens really are a must-see on a visit to us. So we're going to head up to the top of the castle. I'm going to show you how to kiss the Blarney Stone and the history behind it. So we'll see you in a second. Welcome to the top of Blarney Castle, and just down here is the famous Blarney Stone. The Blarney Stone was originally an altar stone that was given as a gift to the Lord of the castle. So when he brought it back to Blarney, he decided to build it into the outer battlements here at the top of the castle for safekeeping. So that's the reason why you have to walk 128 steps to the top to kiss the famous stone. Now, where did the kissing of the stone come from? Well, originally the Lord at the time had a slight speech impediment, and he was walking around Blarney Lake one night and he heard these awful screams coming from the lake. So he looked in and he saw a woman drowning. So he raced in, saved her and pulled her to shore. But he got an awful surprise when he did, because the woman was the witch that lives in the Rock Close. As a thank you, the witch said that if you kiss the famous stone, it will get rid of your speech impediment. So that's where the gift of eloquence comes from. So today we say that if you kiss the famous stone, you can talk yourself out of any situation. So next, I'm going to do just that. I'm going to kiss the Blarney Stone. So the first step to kissing the stone is you lie down on your back. The next is you grab the 2 bars behind you, you gently slide back and kiss the wall behind you. Now, I know it's St. Patrick's Day and I should be head to toe in green, but there was just no way that I could outdo the castle. A couple of days ago, we lit it up green, so I'm now going to show you a drone video that we did as a special video for St. Patrick's Day. You're going to be one of the first people to see it. I hope you enjoy it. Have a great St. Patrick's Day, and we'll hopefully see you soon at Blarney Castle and Gardens.
It's amazing. The greening is a phenomenon that started with the Sydney Opera House back in Australia. And I was actually at the event when they launched it. And next minute, a cruise ship pulled in and blocked the greening of the Sydney Opera House. So one of our presenters got on to the Prime Minister to get them to move the cruise ship. So it was quite funny at the time when it started. And I think they also did something in New Zealand around the same time. And now I think it's over 600 iconic monuments throughout the world, in something like 59 countries go green every year. So thank you everyone for embracing the Irish spirit on St. Paddy's Day. So Gio, we're off to summer where a lot of Irishness is discussed and stems from. So we're going over to David in EPIC, the Immigration Museum.
Hi there, everyone, or hello, or Dia Gwit, as we say in Irish. My name is David from EPIC Museum in Dublin. So as we know, as we discussed earlier, the whole world turns green on St. Patrick's Day. I myself am wearing my proud colours of Limerick in the southwest of Ireland. So whether you're Irish or not, today is the day that you'll wear your shamrock, you'll have a pint of the black stuff, or you'll dance your Irish jig. I'm here from EPIC, the Irish Immigration Museum, to tell you about what Ireland has given the world, and also to give you some simple phrases in the Irish language to help your St. Patrick's Day sound even better. EPIC is located in the heart of Dublin, and we're a relatively new museum, only opened about 5 years ago. At EPIC, we tell the story of Ireland's greatest export, which isn't whiskey, as John mentioned earlier on, or Guinness, but it's our people. EPIC is a museum of Irish people, and we look at the reasons why 10 million Irish people have emigrated from the island of Ireland over 1,500 years. Through famine, recessions, wars, people have either been forced to emigrate or have gone on to find opportunities overseas. The reason that St. Patrick's Day is so popular is because of these immigrants, bringing their culture and heritage with them. And now there are over 70 million people around the world that claim Irish heritage. So the Irish that immigrated became renowned for sharing their stories and singing their songs, building railways and famous buildings, including the White House in Washington, built by a Kilkenny man, James Horan. We look forward to welcoming you to the museum in person and showcase why we were awarded back-to-back World Travel Awards as Europe's leading tourist attraction, beating such places as the Colosseum in Rome, the Eiffel Tower, and the Acropolis in Greece. So today of all days, we think of shamrocks, Guinness, leprechauns, and the colour green. What we do at EPIC is embrace that culture and heritage to show that there's much more to the Irish people than just these main things. So the thing that people do in Ireland, indeed around the world, is wear something green. We call it Ag Éirí Gloss, turning green, Ag Éirí Gloss. While we all turn green, did you know that the national colour of Ireland is in fact blue, and that it links back to St. Patrick in the 5th century? It just goes to prove that some of these stereotypes indeed need to be investigated further. So a very quick Irish lesson for you all, or to speak Os Gaeilge. Let's start with hello, which you heard earlier. It's Dia Gwit, Dia Gwit, hello. If you want to wish somebody a happy St. Patrick's Day, you say, Lo Féile Pádraig Sunna Dit. So happy St. Patrick's Day, Lo Féile Pádraig Sunna Dit. To introduce yourself, you say, Dahi is Anam Dum. David is my name. Dahi is Anam Dum. If you want to ask someone what their name is, you'd say, Cod is Anam Dut. Cod is Anam Dit. What is your name? So you may think that may be enough, but if you really want to understand the island of Ireland, EPIC is the best place to learn. You'll be able to find out more from the team in Adams and Butler about how best to personalize your client's visit to our award-winning museum and to make it that little bit more special. So maybe it's a VIP tour or a personal genealogy visit. The museum is designed as the world's first fully digital museum. People mainly walk around the museum as a self-guided experience in about 90 minutes, but we have had people who have spent 5 or 6 hours there. There is so much content, so much information and stories to tell about Ireland. But what I do recommend is for you to reach out to the team in Adams and Butler to find out how best your clients can make it a more personal visit, whether it is that guided tour or whether it's a genealogy consultation. So what comes to mind when you think of Irishness? Most of what we have come to associate with Ireland, including the colour green or blue, St. Patrick, shamrocks, potatoes and parades, can be connected to migration or the movement of people. So when our ancestors left Irish shores, they made a huge footprint on the world as they brought their culture with them. Ireland has given the world James Joyce, W.B. Yeats, Dracula, Liam Neeson, who we heard from earlier on, and Riverdance. 23 US presidents have Irish heritage. We've given the world hot chocolate, invented the first ejector seat, the world's first submarine, the world's first maternity hospital, and of course the Irish pub. And I have my pint of Guinness here with me ready to go. So what we say, another lesson for Irish, is sláinte. And sláinte is the way we say cheers, and it means good health. So sláinte. The island of Ireland whiskey, as we heard from John earlier on, and our stout is known around the world, and today is a great excuse to have a pint of the black stuff or to pour a small one of whiskey. Another thing that we love here, as you all know, is our potatoes, and I have my potato here. But did you know that 2 Irishmen invented the first potato chip? Here we go, these famous potato chips. We call them crisps over here. We have Joseph Spud Murphy and Seamus Burke to thank for these, and these are Tato's, the famous Irish crisps. So I'm going to eat one of these now, or have a little bit. The nicest crisps in the world, or potato chips in the world. So I'm going to finish up. I hope you enjoyed a little bit of an introduction about Ireland and the influence of Irish people all over the world. It is, of course, best experience when you come to Epic. But what I want to show you a short video from Epic called The Power of a Name, which speaks about the importance of genealogy and one of the things that people emigrated with that they passed on, which was their name. So while we can't be together in person, here at Epic, we share a belief that every person is connected, which is what Epic stands for, EPIC, every person is connected. And it stands for the connections that our immigrants made around the world. And it also stands for the connections that 70 million people around the world that claim Irish heritage have back to Ireland. And it's showcased today no better than any other day. So however, and wherever you're celebrating, stay safe. Send an Irish greeting to someone you care about. Happy St. Patrick's Day from Epic, the Irish Immigration Museum. Sláinte and enjoy. So here's Power of a Name.
Thanks, David.
When our ancestors left Irish shores, they left everything behind, except for something that would give them strength, their identity, their power to shape the world.
The kind of society we build, the kind of power we generate.
What meant everything to them is what they gave you, your name. Epic shares the stories of Irish emigration. We're building on one of our most unique exhibitions. Whether you're from a neighbouring county or a faraway country, play your part in the Power of a Name exhibition and honour your ancestors by bringing your family name home.
That's fantastic. Thanks a million, David. So we're going to go back to the west of Ireland and we're going to go back to Pádraig, and we're going to hear about another drink, Poitín, which is Irish moonshine. So Pádraig, over to yourself.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the West. So we're going to hear now about the story of Poitín in a couple of minutes. But I think it's time for a song and a bit more entertainment because it is St. Patrick's Day and we have to be entertained. So Conor, who you heard earlier playing the button accordion, not many people know this, but he's a very accomplished singer. He doesn't sing very often, so this is a treat for you guys. So Conor is going to sing a song, seeing as we're in the west of Ireland, he's going to sing a song called The West's Awake. And definitely, guys, when you come back, the West will definitely be awake. So over to you, Conor.
So thanks, Pádraig. This is actually a song that's very close to my heart because it's very, some of the places that are named in the song are featured like very close by my home. So so we're in Galway at the moment. I come from 20 minutes south of Galway in a place called Clarenbridge. But there's a place featured in this song called Kershleave Pass, and it was the old north-south road in days gone by, and it runs right by my house at home. And but the song "The West's Awake," it kind of made a revival back in 1980. So you all know that our big sporting, our big sport in Ireland is hurling, and Galway, after 57 years in 1980, won their first All-Ireland, and this man called Joe McDonagh got up on the stage in Croke Park in front of 82,000 people and sang this song, and since then it's undertook a revival. So I'm gonna try a couple of verses for you anyway, so you can get a taste. So when all beside a vigil keep, the West asleep, the West asleep. Alas and well may we, when Connacht lies in slumber deep, their lake and plain smile fair and free, 'neath rocks their guardian chivalry. Sing, oh, let man learn liberty from crashing wind and lashing sea. That chainless wave and lovely land, freedom a nationhood demand. Be sure the great God never planned for slumbering slaves a home so grand. For on the brave and haughty race, honored and sentinel place, sing, oh, not even their sons' disgrace could quite destroy their glory's trace. For often in O'Connor's van, their triumph dashed each Connacht clan, and fleet as deer the Normans ran. Through Kirchleaf Pass and Ardran, and later times saw deeds as brave, and glory guards Clanrickers grave. Sing, oh, they died their land to save, on Aughrim slopes and at Shannon's wave. And if when all the vigil keep, the West asleep, the West asleep, alas and well may we, when Connacht lies in slumber deep. But hark of eyes like thunder spake, the West awake, the West awake. Sing, oh, hurrah, let England quake. We'll fight till death for Erin's sake.
Well done.
That's fantastic. Historic. A few people want you to introduce the lads again to get their names.
Yeah, absolutely. So Conor was the singer there, an accordion player from earlier, Conor Connolly. He's from just south of Galway here, actually. Anybody that flew into Shannon Airport and headed up to Galway, they would have come through his townland of Claren Bridge. And not too far from Shannon either, anybody that's been to the Cliffs of Moher, and I'd say you've all been to the Cliffs of Moher, there's a lovely little town called Milltown Malbay, and that's where Liam is from. It's very famous actually for a music festival called the Willie Clancy Week, or as it's known in Ireland, Willie Week. So that's a brilliant traditional music festival. and you'll always get Connor and Liam and a lot of other people playing there. But anyway, guys, just to tell you about the distillery where we are here. We're at Poitín Distillery. We're going to meet Pádraig in a few minutes. But just before we talk to Pádraig, this would be one of the actual stills that the family used. So it's 6 generations distilling the Poitín, but this dates back to the early 20th century, and it's the one that the family used. So look, from one Pádraig to another Pádraig, let's hear the story of Poitín.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. Delighted to be here with you today. I have to say the guys are amazing in terms of their music and their singing. So delighted to have this life back in the distillery here again today. It's I really miss it, but anyway, great to have that bit of life, like I said, back in here in Mickle Distillery today. So we're based here in Salthill in Galway. We're the only operating distillery in Galway County and City. And we reached a huge milestone yesterday, so I'll make that announcement for you very shortly. You're going to be some of the first people in the world to hear about it. But I just want to introduce, I suppose, Mickle to you briefly. And the name here, Mickle, it's actually my great-great-great-grandfather's first name. And then above the actual name itself is a logo, and it's based on a photograph of my actual grandfather. And it doesn't get much more organic than that. He's harvesting barley that he sowed himself, that he then later used to make his own poitín. So the tradition of distilling in our family goes back 6 generations. Myself, my brother, we run Mickle Distillery here. So my brother's actually the head distiller, and he would obviously say that I do the easy stuff, which is not getting my hands, working physically on the equipment. But nonetheless, we're carrying on 6 generations and over 170 years of distilling tradition. So at the moment, we have 3 wonderful products. I'll just introduce them to you really briefly, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what poitín is and how it relates to whiskey. So first product there is our Mickle Classic Poitín, and this is what I brought to market in 2016. So it's a smooth, spicy poitín. It's made from barley, and it's also made using this local botanical called bog bean. And you might be wondering, what is bog bean? Never heard of that before. Well, the monks first documented it in 1324, the first written record we have of a thing called aquavitae, which is basically the precursor to poitín and to whiskey. So it's been used ever since then. Now, the 3 benefits that I picked up on from reading about it, this is the monk's manuscript: blood cleansing, digestive ailment remedy, and also an aphrodisiac. So plenty of benefits there to drinking poitín, according to the monks at least. So not according to me per se. We then have our award-winning Mickle Gin, made with wildflowers and herbs that we handpick in Connemara. Recently awarded a silver medal at the World Gin Awards. That's actually 2 years in a row. And then we have our peated poitín. This is our heritage poitín. And if you remember, the first poitín is made from barley only. This one is made with barley and oats, and it's peated, it's smoky. So in other words, when we're drying out the grain, it's actually dried out using Connemara turf. And actually, Pádraig here has a sample of turf in case you haven't seen this stuff before. So it's basically vegetation that hasn't decayed. So bogs were great for preserving things. It's actually why we're able to find ancient artifacts still perfectly preserved after thousands of years. So the exciting announcement that I wanted to share with you is that we broke a long drought of whiskey making in Galway. So we're now officially, an operating whiskey distillery. So we're also making our poitín and our gin, but we've laid down the first whiskey in over 100 years here in Galway. So I suppose in terms of the tour experiences that we will offer going forward, it'll obviously include the poitín and the gin, but there will be that whiskey element with our tours, and obviously we can customize as well in many different ways, I suppose, depending on what clients' needs are. So anyway, just wanted to introduce you to the whiskey. So we're very, very excited about all of that. So I just want to give you a little brief history in terms of poitín and whiskey and how they're related. So poitín became illegal in 1760, and it was because of tax. Basically, British Parliament couldn't collect tax on domestically distilled spirits, So rather than trying, you know, how to put it, work with the people, they decided, look, let's ban it. So that's when Poitín was banned, and it was only re-legalized in 1997. Whiskey, on the other hand, was produced ever since then, but albeit it had to be done under a license. Now, I suppose so the difference between them was the ownership of a license. Now, whiskey, of course, does need to spend 3 years in a wooden cask before it can be called Irish whiskey. So we're bringing the two traditions together, the Galway city tradition and the Connemara Poitín tradition. We never stopped, okay? So it's continued throughout the 170 years and more, and throughout the 6 generations. So folks, really looking forward to having you visit here at some stage in the near future. I'll be delighted to guide you around our distillery, talk you through our different products, get you to taste them, and tell you a couple of stories as well. So we'll try and do as good a job as the previous generations did. So my grandfather was actually a Shanachie, which is the Irish word for storyteller. So we'll try and do you know, even a fraction of as good a job as he would have done in the previous generation. So folks, enjoy the rest of your day. Hopefully you'll be able to raise your glass in celebration of the day that's in it. And here's my little toast to you. This is Poitín. Flying to well.
Thanks, William.
Thanks, Porrick, for that. That was a great story. And Porrick's experience here is just one of the things that I do with Siobhan and the team in Adams and Butler. So whatever, you know, your clients are interested in, we can tailor make it here. And we look forward to seeing you here in the west of Ireland. So we're going to be back, I think, Siobhan, again before we finish off with a couple of more tunes, and we might get Connor to sing a verse or two again. So we'll see you all later.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. That was fantastic. And it's lovely to see a young company doing so well, and especially in innovative product as well. So we're going over now to the Shelburne Hotel, where the General Manager, JP Kavanagh, has a message for us.
Hello, everybody. JP Kavanagh, General Manager at the Shelburne Hotel in Dublin. Thank you for joining us virtually, as we can't be with you today, in order to raise a glass to St. Patrick's Day, the day when everybody in the world wants to be Irish. For almost 200 years, the Irish and the Dubliners have come to the Shelburne to celebrate, no more so than on St. Patrick's Day. Personally, I like to raise a glass of the black stuff, as Dublin is the home of Guinness. And Sean McGoldrick, our bar manager, has a pint on hand for me just to do that very thing.
Thank you very much, JP. Guinness is a very important drink to have on St. Patrick's Day. The key thing is to pour. Make sure you pour 3/4 of the way up, let it settle for a couple of minutes, and then top it up. And what we like to do here on St. Patrick's Day is add a little shannock on the very top. Maybe you follow that. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
I think we're all missing drinking Guinness today, and especially with our little shamrock shape in the top, which is something we always do over here. So we've heard about the crack, the fun that's had in Ireland. We've heard about the kill, the music. We saw some dancing. But the other thing that's very popular, especially on St. Patrick's Day, is sport. And there's the Gaelic Games, and one of those Gaelic Games is hurling. So a lot of our clients, when they come over to Ireland, they often go to the All-Ireland final, or they see it played at county level, or if they have young children, or even for adults, we'll arrange for some of the local children to play a game of hurling. And you were going to hear a lot about that game now. So we're going to go over to James to hear about hurling and the significance that it has for Irish people.
Hello, welcome. So hurling is the fastest and the oldest field sport in the world. It's Ireland's national sport, and the first reference dates back 3,000 years ago to the great Irish warrior called Cuchulainn, who defeated a vicious Irish hound with a hurl and a ball. So Kilkenny is the home of hurling. It's like a religion in Kilkenny, like most counties in Ireland. So when it's been a tradition in the hospital in Kilkenny for the last years and years that when you're born in the hospital, everybody gets a baby hurl. So every boy and every girl gets a baby hurl, and that's just been passed down right through the generations. So this is the ball that we use is called a slitter. It's another Irish word, a slitter. So so you poke the ball with the slitter. So the puck that's used in ice hockey is is the pre from the Irish word puck, P-O-C, which means striking the ball with the hurler. So happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone. Hope everyone is drinking plenty of Guinness or later on and having a great time. So St. Patrick's Day in hurling terms is very important as well, because all club hurlers, the national finals for the clubs is on St. Patrick's Day in Croke Park in our national stadium every year. So for 2 teams every year then, and in all the parishes and towns that's in the final, everything is put on hold, all the festivities and the parades. But if the team actually wins that day, then the celebrations will go long into the night and the parades. So if you're good with your club, then you want to play with your county. So the dream for the county then is to win the Liam McCarthy Cup. So I have the Limerick jersey on at the moment. So Limerick are the champions at the moment. So in Irish terms, it would be the equivalent of the Super Bowl. And there'd be 82,000 people at the match in Croke Park in Dublin. It's screened worldwide, and the whole country comes to a standstill when the final is on. All these players then are amateurs as well, so they all have day jobs as well, which makes it even more better. So all their commitment is unbelievable. So hurling is now played all over the world. It's played in Australia, America, all over Europe. It's grown the whole time, slowly but surely. It's Milwaukee in America has the largest hurling team outside of Ireland, or the largest club outside of Ireland, and most all its members are US born. It's the USMC has 2 hurling teams, and the hurling championship is played all over America every year between all the states. It's camogie is the female version of hurling, so it's almost identical in rules to hurling, and where there's a hurling team, there's a camogie team. So if you Google it later on, no matter where you're from, there's a hurling team not too far away from you. So on our tour, so the first one, we give everyone a hurl when they exit their vehicle, and normally there's a few our comments and expressions when we hand in this wooden bat, but and then we bring them into a dressing room, a hurler's dressing room, and we go through the history of the game of hurling and how it has evolved into the fastest game on grass in the world. And then onto their favourite part is out onto the fields to practice their skills. So we show them how to poke the ball on the ground, show them how to rise the ball, show them how to hit the ball out of the air, and then solo running or walking. So it's for every age group from 5 all the way up to 85, and a great bit of exercise as well, and learning about Ireland's national sport. Then we give them a chance to score a goal at the goals as well, and then it's pictures time with the hurls out in the fields for the memories. And then the hardest part is trying to get back on the coach, because it's experience, or it's a great experience, and it's certainly enjoyed by all. And our second one is in a country bar around 35 minutes from the Rocket Castle. So here we give your clients a pint of Guinness or a bottle of Coke on arrival, and then we show them a brief history of Ireland's national game. Then we bring them out to the picturesque green area beside the bar, and we show them how to practice their skills as well. Then we can show them how an actual hurl is made, and after that, some traditional Irish music. So all the world leaders, when they come to Ireland, everybody tries hurling. So it's your clients, it'll be in great company. Thanks very much.
That's brilliant. Thanks, William James. And now we're going to just see a little video. Yes. And then we're going to go over to the National Leprechaun Museum. You have to go to the National Leprechaun Museum on Paddy's Day. So here's a video.
Hello everybody from Hurling Tours Ireland. Hope to see you when this is all over. Let's try Ireland's national sport, the ancient game of hurling, which is 3,000 years old. Why not give it a try next time in Ireland?
Thanks a million, James. So Mark, let's go to the Leprechaun Museum in Dublin.
Hi everyone, I'm Mark. I'm one of the storytellers and the experience manager for the Leprechaun Museum. We're a museum dedicated to storytelling, and it's amazing kind of watching people talking about Poitín and talking about hurling, because they're all aspects of Irish life that have been incorporated into our folk tales. The mention of Cuchulainn and the story, the first reference to hurling, is a very special story in the museum. But the way we do our traditional storytelling here is all of our storytellers are unscripted. And what that means is when you come in here, it depends on whether they've had their lunch or not, who you are and how you engage with them. And it's a great starting off point for a visit to Ireland, because when you listen to the stories, they'll all reference the landscape and places and things that you can actually see. So it's a great start off to it. But one of the things people think about Irish storytelling is that, especially with the Leprechaun, that they're children's stories. Well, the first book of Irish myths for children wasn't produced until 1894. Most of our stories are horrible, and I know people recognize names like the Banshee, you know, and their dark kind of awful stories, because our storytelling was usually done gathered in someone's home with a pint or down in the pub. Or a great setting for storytelling is actually a good wake, an Irish funeral as well. But rather than having to go through all of that, we built a museum so people could come here and engage with the stories. And that means going through rooms with giant furniture, walking through rainbows, hopefully finding a pot of gold, and then spending some time with our storytellers who will share their passion and their love of storytelling with you. But even the Leprechaun itself, fantastic, represents the Irish people, because the first written Leprechaun story actually dates back to the 8th century. The oral tradition is much older than that, but it was a legal document, and it shows the leprechauns back in their homeland of Fay Lynn, which is in Ireland off the northeast coast of Ireland, and we see them coming across to Ireland and making Ireland their home, working for our She, the other world people, our fairy folk, and sending their money back home to their families. So it's a great story of the Irish people because it's an immigration story, and I think that's kind of why it resonates with us here in the museum so well. Because the stories travel so well, you know, but that's what we do. And yeah, if you come on over, we can't wait. I can speak on behalf of all my storytellers. We can't wait to have you guys in and have people back inside the museum again, climb into the giant furniture.
Mark, can you tell us what you're holding in your hand?
Yes, sorry, this is my shillelagh. A shillelagh is the thing that people recognize as well. They see leprechauns with these sticks, and the leprechauns are old men and they think it's a walking stick, but a shillelagh is actually a traditional fighting stick. There's a martial art based around it as well, which is fairly modern, but there's a town in Wicklow where this one is from. There's a town called Shillelagh, and there's a great family down there who've been making these for a very long time. This one is 40 years old, and it was presented to my father when he was in the Irish Army back in 1981. But usually the head of them are filled with lead, and it was a gentleman's way of solving disputes. Was that they'd have a fight with the two, usually blackthorn sticks, and these take 2 to 3 years to make, coated in butter, stored in a chimney to cure them. But it was a way for us to have a weapon and be a bit more discreet with it, so that the British soldiers wouldn't be suspicious. The walking sticks, though, as I say, were packed with lead in the head of them. Quite vicious.
And can I ask you, do you have more families, or do you have adults as well without any children, like who don't bring their children as an excuse to visit?
People do use their kids as an excuse to come in, and you'll find the adults will normally get as much, if not more, out of it than the kids. But we do an over 18s tour as well, which is called Dark Land, which is where it gets very heavy on the stories. But how Irish people deal with death and misery is, a bit tongue-in-cheek and a bit of fun. But my storytellers, even though they're told to keep the really dark stuff for at night, if they have a tour with no kids on it at 10 o'clock in the morning, they're still going to go with the really dark stuff. They'll always chance their arm. And we have one rule in the museum, and that's always be ready to say sorry. And that's if we go too far.
That's brilliant, Mark. Thanks a million for that.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no, we're delighted. We're delighted. So now, Gio, I think it's time again, probably to say goodbye. But before we go, to go back to Pádraig and have some more of that fantastic music and singing.
We're back again to Galway.
Are you sober, Porrick? Are you sober at this stage?
Yeah, well, we're kind of like, we're getting there now. We're pretty happy at this stage. There's a lot of woohoos going on in the background here. But anyway, so yeah, it was a great idea actually to come to a distillery on St. Patrick's Day because, you know, there's a few places that aren't open yet, but they will be shortly, I'm sure. But we had a great time here, and I'd like to thank Porrick for having us here. And of course, Connor and Liam as well for the great music and entertainment that they provided. So what we'll do now is just want to wish you a very happy St. Patrick's Day. And I'm sure from whether it's Boston, Baltimore, Phoenix, San Diego, wherever you are, you're going to enjoy this great Irish Day. Yeah. So we're going to sign off now. Actually, maybe the song first, Connor. What do you reckon? Yes, and then the tune.
Then we might go into. So I'll sing you a couple of verses of a popular Irish song made famous by a great Irish band called Denon. And Dolores Kane, many of you probably know, used to sing this song. And myself and Liam will probably burst into a couple of jigs then afterwards, and we'll see how it goes.
And the name of the song, Connor, I believe, there's going to be plenty of these now, whether they're in Chicago, Boston, New York, Baltimore, San Diego. It's called The Ramblin' Irishman. And I'd say by midnight tonight, US time, there'll be a few of these hanging around the Irish bars. So it's a great song called The Ramblin' Irishman. Over to Connor.
No more than yourselves, guys. I'll be rambling myself, and Liam will be rambling as well. We'll be doing serious rambling tonight now. After all this Mickle gin and Mickle Poitín, it's been such a joy to sit here and like taste such beautiful Poitín, beautiful gin. Like, it's been a pleasure. So as you can see from me, I'm really enjoying it. So I'm gonna start this song now, so called The Rambling Irishman. So I am a rambling Irishman, in Ulster I was born in. Many's the happy hours I spend on the banks of sweet Loch Erin. And to be poor I could not endure, as others of my station. To America I sailed away, and left this Irish nation. Right, Danton-na-na, Danton-na-na, right, Danton-na-nor and Nandy. The night before I sailed away, I spent it with my darling. From 3 o'clock in the afternoon till the break of day next morning. And when that we were going to part, we held in each other's arms. Well, you may be sure and very sure it wounded both our charms. Right, Danton-na-na, Danton-na-na, right, Danton-na-nor and Nandy. The very first night I spent on board, I dreamt about my Nancy. I dreamt I held her in my arms, and well, she's pleased my fancy. But when I woke out of my dream, I felt my bosom empty. Well, you may be sure and very sure that I lay discontented. Right hand to the na, dan to the na, right hand to the no, and an andy. Right hand to the na, dan to the na, right hand to the no, and an andy. Now, so we're going to try a couple of jigs this time. So if you're in the mood for dancing, leave down your drink first. We don't want you spilling your drink. Okay, so calm down first, and we'll start dancing. Okay.
Done. Thank you.
So guys, I hope you enjoyed that. And before we sign off, I just wanted to say thanks to Connor, to Liam, to Pádraig, and above all to Tom, who's been behind the camera here. You haven't seen him, but he's been doing the steady cam on a phone. And yeah, he'll probably join in now on a couple of Mickle Poitíns. But anyway, guys, whether you're in Toronto or Tennessee, San Diego or Seattle, I hope you enjoyed it, and you'll have a great St. Patrick's Day. And Siobhan, Rachel, Giovanna, everybody in Adams, the butler, fair play for doing these and keeping everybody stateside in touch with what's going on in Ireland. And we'll see you all soon. Slán agus Beannacht, agus Lála Pádraig Chonaill.
Thanks a million, Porrick. We really do appreciate everything that you're doing for us because it really helps, makes it easier for us. And thank you, my own team, Rachel and Gio, but then also to James, to Mark, to John, to David. Thanks for joining us. And thank you to all of you as well. Majority of you are in the USA and Canada, but for those also who joined us for Europe and from South America, we really do appreciate it. So take care and we shall see you next week. Gio, what are we doing next week?
Good question. Oh, this Paddy's Day. I think it's Into the Wild.
Into the Wild. And the other thing is we're actually doing one as well with the Global Travel Collection and Select next Thursday. We'll see you all then. And thanks a million again for joining us. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.